We're going to dive into it. I'm going to first start you off at the dashboard, and I'm not going to do any dashboard training in this. This is all going to be focused on the desktop writer. But I just want to point out that the typical workflow for a real legit paid inspection would be starting at the dashboard. So you'd want to begin your reports at the dashboard on the appointment manager. That is going to be covered later on today in a different session. It takes a little bit to go over setting it up and everything like that. So I'm not covering that part. But I just wanted to let everybody know the typical workflow for an actual paid inspection would be to book it on the appointment manager, and that's where you begin it. And then you download that data into the report writer. And then you complete your report. And then after you've completed the report, you upload it back to the dashboard to be stored and also to distribute to your client and your agent. So just think of the dashboard as your main hub, your command central. You begin the report there, download it to the report writer where we're going to be working today, and then you upload it and send it. For this training, I'm going to be covering from the point of downloading it, completing the report, and then uploading it and sending it, because that doesn't take too long. But the appointment part definitely needs its own training session. So stay tuned for later on today to dive into that. Also, one more thing to note too, this is a basic training, so great for new users. I'm not going to go into tons of template editing. I'm actually covering that right after this session. So I'm going to be doing deep dives into all types of fun stuff with template editing next. So in this training, I'm not going to be covering template editing because it can be overwhelming. HomeGauge is very robust. This training is just supposed to give you the basics to get going and actually start using the tool out there in the wild, but not getting bogged down in trying to figure out every little detail right away. You can actually learn more if you just dive right in and start using it. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. All right. Share. All these choices, so many screens to share. We're going to do. Screen one. Okay. Sorry, it took me a minute. All right, so move a few things around on my dashboard. Okay, so right now you're looking at my dashboard. So I'm just going to back up one more, and I'm actually just going to go to HomeGauge.com. That's where everybody can start. HomeGauge.com, pretty easy to remember. To access your dashboard, you'll click login. I already added my username and password, so it knows it, but you would put in your HomeGauge username and password. And just for visual, I'm showing you where you begin the report. And again, this is covered in more detail later today in a session. So you begin your report here under appointments. I've already added an appointment to my calendar to save on time. I'm just going to give you a visual of it. So there's my appointment that I'm going to be bringing down. So everything's already added in there that you would normally put into the report writer. And things like the date, the address, stuff like that, the customer's information. So all that's already within the appointment, and I'm downloading that into the software, and it's just going to pull all that for me. So I'm going to go and just open up my software now. Your software also, just to point out, because I'm not sure how many people are super new. You could have just got a HomeGauge yesterday. I don't know. HomeGauge is an icon like this on your computer. It's on your computer's desktop. So you'll hear us refer to the HomeGauge software, the desktop software, a lot. And that's because it's a program that's installed and it looks like this. It's an icon on your desktop. Don't be confused though, because it does work on laptops as long as they're Windows laptops. So just wanted to point that out because somebody pointed that out to me recently. They're like, why do you call it desktop? I'm like, you know what? Because it lives on the desktop as a program, but it does work on laptops. So just wanted to clarify that. But I already have it open. So when you double click on that icon, this is what you'll be presented with. And before we start in on how to write a report, I'm going to point out a few basic things about the actual software interface that you should be aware of. I'm not going to go into deep detail on much of the toolbar items because right now, none of them are too accessible. You'll notice a lot of them are grayed out and I can't really do much. So as I go, I'll explain more about what the options are on the toolbars as they pertain to you. There's a lot of options in HomeGauge and many that you might not really care to ever use. We don't want to overwhelm you. So I'm going to go with the ones that are most popular right now that you'll be using frequently. And then we do have a lot of recorded content on more specific things in all the different settings. So you'll notice you've got two toolbars up here. And again, I'll be going into more detail on the different functions as we go. And then the other main parts of the software, you'll notice it's broken into 3 different sections. So on the left-hand side, we have our section called sections, and you'll see different parts of the report here. So there's a section on customers, report info, miscellaneous. There's a button here that says select a report template. That's where you can go in and look at the templates that come on, preloaded with the software, or if you've saved your own different versions of templates, they would be accessible there. And then as soon as you select a template, along this left-hand side will populate the rest of the report. So that's this sidebar here. In the middle, we have, as soon as you open up the software, you have a welcome screen that you're greeted with. Nothing's in here right now, just a welcome screen with some quick links to the HomeGauge website. As you start using the software and uploading reports to the dashboard, this welcome screen will populate basically a snapshot of your dashboard. It's kind of linking to it where it will show your recently uploaded reports and some basic stats that are just nice to be aware of. So let's say you open up your software to start a report. As soon as you open it up, you're kind of greeted with some information about what you've already done, and it might be handy. So you might see check boxes saying that the agreement's been signed or the report has been viewed and things like that. The welcome screen changes right away though. So as soon as you open it, you get that welcome screen in the middle. But then as soon as you go to one of these sections, the contents of the section will populate in the middle area. So as I go here, I've got all the contents of customer that needs to be filled out. Report info, this is going to be the information on the property and the start time and things like that. There's a section on miscellaneous. And then as we go down and into the template, there'll be different sections there that you'll fill out. The other side pane that I'm going to point out is over on the right-hand side. And this is something that has a few different functions. So the main one you're going to be working in is going to be pictures. This pane will basically show the photos that you would like to add into the report. So HomeGauge, we can point to any location on your computer, basically a folder on your computer that contains the photos that you want to use to pull into the inspection report. And so the way to take care of that is you have to either click on the folder here, or you can click on browse. Either will work, and it will open up a window to your computer where you can navigate to where your photos are located. So one thing to point out about photos in my experience, it's best practice to have a dedicated folder on your computer for each inspection. It just helps keeps things organized. You can point directly to it, and then all the photos will basically kind of show up just for that one inspection. So that's just a little bit of a tip there. You don't want to have your photos on Google Drive or on OneDrive. You have to actually have them on your computer. So that could be saved on your computer on your C drive, or you can also pop an SD card in and it will read it like it's on your computer as well. I apologize. I kind of got a little bit of a cold yesterday, and my throat's kind of ticklish. All right. So I'm going to navigate to a folder and just show you how to do that. So under here, I'm going to this PC. And then I've actually started a storage spot for my inspection folders here. So I'll just click on that plus sign. And then under inspection photos 2022, that's a folder that I created. I'll just click on the folder that I want to access, and then I'll click OK, and all the pictures will populate on this side. So that's how you access your photos. The next tab that I'm going to show you is going to be the drawings tab. This is a great tab. Not everybody is aware of it, but it's a pretty cool feature that comes with HomeGauge. Here you can access line drawings. Line drawings are more technical drawings that you might want to add to a report to provide your buyer with a little bit more information about certain things, maybe some verbiage, or pointing out parts of a system that a normal home buyer might not know, but this would empower them to know a lot more about their property. So to use the line drawings, once you click on that tab, you'll go to this select subfolder. Click on that and you get a drop down, and we've broken those into different categories. And to just view the different line drawings for a category, you just click on it. So let's say we're going to plumbing. I click on plumbing, and you'll see I have a bunch of different drawings, and some of them have tons of detail. You'll notice that. Some of them do not have any detail, and that is intentional. So if you want your buyer to know everything, and maybe you're not pointing out anything super specific, but you think that would be a great thing for them to have and learn a little bit more about, you can add a picture like this. But let's say that there was something incorrect going on in maybe their water heater here. You could add this, and then it goes into the HomeGauge photo editor, and there you can customize it and make it super specific to that report. So let's see here. So there's a bunch of these different line drawings. So check them out, get familiar with them, and definitely make a point to at least add one or two to your inspection report. It adds a nice little technical visual aid, and just kind of breaks up the report a little bit as well. So right now we're looking at plumbing. So it says right here, we're looking at the folder for HomeGauge drawings, plumbing. To select another category, you can't go to the drop down right away because it's in this folder. So you have to go up one and click this arrow to go back to your selection. So if you click that arrow, now you can see all your different categories again, and go to a different area and look at those photos. So the next one we have here is your contacts. So in HomeGauge, before we had the dashboard, we managed contacts exclusively through the software. So this contact list was utilized a lot more before we had the dashboard and HomeGauge services and things like that. If you're starting your report on the dashboard in the appointment manager, that's where your contact gets added to your system. And then when you download that into the desktop software to start your report, it automatically is going to pull down whoever is, the agent or the buyer for you. So typically you're not going to be in contacts too much if you're using the appointment manager, which is the suggested way to, write a report. but I'm going to show you how to use it in case you need to make a change on something, or maybe you need to add somebody manually. So under contacts, this icon here, if you hover, by the way, if you hover over everything, all the different icons in the software, it does show you, it will kind of show you what that button does. So definitely check that out. But this one right here, it's supposed to be a person with a suit and a tie. That's supposed to be your agents or your real estate professionals, things like that. It could be an attorney, anybody who's not the home buyer. The blue, that would be your list of home buyers. And then this right here would be everybody all together that would be in your contact list. So for contacts, I'm going to show you how to add an agent. That's the main thing that you would probably add manually to your contact list. Again, typically you're probably not going to do this because it all happens on the dashboard, but just in case, or maybe you're just exploring HomeGauge and you're not doing a real inspection and you're just creating one for yourself or something like that, and you want to add a fictitious agent or something, this will help you out. So under contacts, I can click on this plus sign here, add contact, and it gives me the choice of rep or customer. And again, rep can be anybody that is a professional helping out the buyers. So that could be an insurance agent, things like that, closing coordinator, attorney. So I'm adding a rep. I'm going to hit OK. And then you just add your first name of the person and the last name. So, and then once you have the first name and the last name, we don't recommend adding a company name here. So agents, they tend to change companies quite a bit. And if you add a company name here, then you might have to remember to keep up with that and change it again in the future. Your agent could get offended by that. You never know. So I suggest at this level in your software, you can add a company if you like, but I think it's easier if you just kind of leave that one blank. Once you have the first name and last name, put a phone number if you'd like. Then you'll go to HG username and you'll type in an email for that agent. And we keep it to one email. Everybody has to have an account that is really their account. You can't have an agent, but then have somebody else's email attached to their name. So just remember that. Always make sure that the name matches the email. So just remember that when you're going forward for both buyers and agents. After you fill out the email, click Create HG Username. In this box here, just click OK. Don't worry about anything else, just click OK and you'll get a pop-up. This pop-up says that the real estate professional account is existing and has been added. Once in a while, you'll get this. So it's not a big deal at all. It's just telling you that that email is already in the HomeGauge database, from some inspection at some point in time. And we've been around for 20 plus years. So there's a likelihood that pretty much almost all the agents are already in our database, but they do get new emails and things like that. And there are new ones who are coming on the scene. So if you get this, it just means that they're already in our system from some point at some time. And we're just going to pull the information from our database and link that. So I'm going to hit OK here. It's pulling a username. Usually it's a first name and a last name. I'm going to create one that's a better example. Suzie. Okay, so I'm pulling a different one. So I'm going in here, creating the username. And it typically is going to do this. It's going to grab the first name and the last name and put a number at the end. So that's how you create an agent kind of from scratch. And then you'll click OK and they'll add into your contact list over here on the side. Customers, you don't really need to add from scratch in this way. We'll go over that in just a minute. But agents, there might be a reason why you would add them to your list this way. The last section in this side panel here would be the CYA. That's something that I can't quite get into right now because we're not really in a template. So I'll be describing that a little bit later on. One more thing to point out about this side pane. So right now, maybe you're on a computer that isn't super big and you want a little bit more real estate on, you know, in the middle section where you're going to be doing a lot of the typing and things like that. This side pane, it does hide. So up here, you have a little tiny thumbtack. And if you click on the thumbtack, it will basically along the right side, it will add the different icons for the different tabs, and it will hide it so you have more room to do your work. And then if you need to see your photos, you just hover over photos and they pop out and you can navigate and add things. And then as soon as you hover away, it goes away and gives you more room to work. So that can be really helpful for people on Surface Pros and things like that, or people who just, you know, maybe their eyes just aren't that good. They need more room. If I hover over the pencil, I'll get the drawings here, contacts, CYA. But I don't mind having that side pane. I like it there, so I want it back. And it's easy to get back. You just hover over pictures or any of them really. And then you just click the auto hide one more time and it becomes static and stays in that spot. So that basically just kind of describes the interface. Now we're going to go and download that appointment that I showed you on the dashboard to begin our report. So we're up here at the top toolbar, we're going to go to HG Services, and this is a menu item that you'll be in quite frequently. It basically interacts with anything on the internet. So when you're sending your report to the dashboard, you know, to upload it, publish it, and send it to your client, this is kind of the menu that you're going to be using for that. We have other functions, like sometimes you need to send a report to a different computer or maybe to a mobile device. You know, we do have the HomeGauge Companion app, which is awesome. And I definitely encourage everybody to check it out and try it out. The way the process goes for reports, you'll be basically sending your report through the cloud. And so the cloud is something that's in the, you know, it's up there and you have to be connected to the internet. So, you know, the cloud functions are here as well. Templates, that's something else that you can also send through the cloud. And then we also have some backup options here too. So one really awesome thing that HomeGauge does, we back up your settings and your templates and things like that onto our server. So let's say that your computer, you lose it, it flies off the roof of your car. That's happened before to an inspector, I swear. And yeah, you know, you're just kind of, you have to get a whole brand new computer. You have to get everything loaded up, but you don't have your old system to pull off of. HomeGauge has a backup that you can click this one button and restore everything, and it will bring over your logos, your templates, you know, things like that. So it just makes it a lot easier for you. And we'll prompt you, I think it's every 15 days, you'll get a little pop-up that says you want to back up your settings. Take advantage of that and say yes. And then that way, whenever you need it, you got it. There's also a little button here at the bottom that gives you the option to restore other HomeGauge user settings. So if you're on a multi-inspector company and you need to restore the company settings onto your computer, you know, you would use that option there. But again, HG Services, just all functions of the internet, whether going to the cloud, which is temporary holding spot. So cloud is like a little spot that holds templates and reports, and then uploading to the dashboard, that is kind of storage, permanent storage distribution. So just remember those two things. And what we're going to do is we're going to download an appointment from the dashboard. So that's another internet function there. So Right here, we're going to go to download online appointments. And it's showing me the appointments on my calendar. This is the one that I want to download. So don't be confused. I was practicing the other day with a property of the same address for a purpose that we'll get to later on. But this is the appointment that I want to download right here. This one already shows that this one has been downloaded. So it says status downloaded. This one doesn't, and it's got an X next to it. So it says download now. And we just click download, and super quick, that data has been brought down. Here we'll just click OK. And once you click OK, that report is in your software. It's started, but you do need to go up to open up at the top left corner to see it and open it. So this button right here is going to be something you'll go to quite a bit as well. This is how you access all the reports that you've completed or that you just started on your computer. This right here is the report that I downloaded. So I'm just going to highlight that and I'll click open. I do get a little box here because it's telling me that I've used the agent before and it's in my contact list. And it's just asking me, is this the same person? And I know that it is. And I'm just going to say yes to that. And now you're looking at the customer information and it's pulling in everything that was on my appointment. So that's the beauty of the automation of the appointment manager. Everything gets populated up there. So, you might do that yourself, but you might have somebody who is booking appointments for you. You could be part of a multi-inspector company that has several people booking appointments for you. And it's nice. If you're not booking the appointment, you can just download the data and you don't have to, refer to an email and type in information and things like that. Just kind of speeds up the process. So I've got all my customer information here. For those of you who might be following along that don't have an appointment that they're downloading, that's fine. You can also basically start from scratch without an appointment. And so to do that, you would be looking at a blank customer information profile. I'm going to show you what that looks like by just clicking this Add Customer button right here. So if you're following along with me and you didn't download an appointment, you'd still be looking at this screen here. If you're starting from scratch and maybe you're just playing around with the software and you're not wanting to create an appointment because you're just practicing, you can always add a customer like that. So you just, add somebody's name. And then if you want to add their information here. I'm putting in a fake email address. And then I'm going to click the Create HG username. This is very important because this is how you can connect to the email to distribute it when it's on the dashboard. So I click Create HG username, hitting OK. The new account has been added. I'll click OK one more time. So now I've kind of added a customer from scratch. I still have my first customer here. So I've gone up to the top and I have a tab and I have the one from my appointment up here. And then I have the one that I created from scratch up here. So just keep in mind, if you have two buyers, that's how you add a second one if you need to from scratch. You just do add customer, a new tab will show up. You can also delete profiles as well by highlighting and clicking delete. All right, so next we're going to move on to report info. This gets auto-populated from the appointment, saving me time and hassle. But if you needed to do this from scratch, you definitely can. The report ID right here, this is a field that needs to be unique. So the appointment manager actually puts in a report ID for you, and it has a really nice system to ensure that it's a unique report ID. It does the date, the 2022. October. It does the date of the inspection basically in the first line of the address. So that's just a good system to use if you're trying to create from scratch here on the desktop. But again, Appointment Manager will fill this in for you. Fill out the date and the start time, stop time if you need to. You don't have to have the stop time in most states. And then you fill out the property to be inspected. Some of these areas are not required, but basically you need address line 1, the city, the state, and the zip code in order for it to upload properly. And then the last thing to point out down here, the real estate agent has been added, and that got pulled in from the appointment. But if I was starting this from scratch, or maybe my agent wasn't added at the appointment and I need to add it now, I would go over to my contact list, find that agent, or if I don't have them yet, I could create them like I showed you. And then I can just highlight them and then click add from rep list and they'll show up. I'm going to remove that because I actually don't need it. Let's see here. So miscellaneous, I'm not going to spend too much time here because a lot of this is from the Appointment Manager and it's just handled better on the dashboard. The top part is an old school way that we used to do agreements, and it doesn't really apply anymore. So we can just ignore that. There is an area down here where you can add attachments. And some people will add maybe like a new home brochure or something like that. It's basically a PDF document that would show up at the end of the report. So you can do that pretty easily by just clicking the plus sign there, and then you just navigate to wherever your report or wherever your PDF is located, and you'll click open and it will show up down here. You can also, if you have a certain document that you want to always be there and you don't want to search for it every time, you can click on this paper clip. Oh, I have to have a template selected first. Okay, so sorry, you can't click on the paper clip quite yet. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so this page, it doesn't get tons of use other than just adding attachments if you need to add any kind of attachment. The invoice here, this is actually handled on the dashboard, so you don't really need to do much in this area. It actually brings down the invoice items from the dashboard for you. I wouldn't spend much time trying to customize this invoice price sheet because it doesn't link to the dashboard. So if you are using appointments, and appointments it's great because you can add agreements and your invoice all in one step. You want to customize your invoice items on the dashboard. So this basically just kind of shows that it brought down those items, but I wouldn't recommend going in here and doing much modifications beyond that because the invoice is all handled on the dashboard now. Inspector info. This is going to populate information from the appointment that might be handy. So, you know, a lockbox code, that's handy, and some other kind of data about the house that was in the appointment. There's also 2 tabs here, one for radon tests. We do link up with Air Check, which is the charcoal radon test kits that you can purchase. And there's more information online about that at our support center and how to use it. And you can also read the instructions here. And then there's a tab for forms. All of our HomeGauge users, you all get our NPMA 33 forms, state pest termite forms, and WMITs and 4 points if you're in Florida. To access those, you just click the plus sign here and you just, click a form and then select OK. That's its own kind of webinar, and we do have some content on that on our support center and YouTube. So I'm not going to take the time to go into detail on that. But the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to select a template. So again, customer and report info. This data is brought down by the appointment, and that's the main thing that you would be filling out from scratch if you were starting from scratch. And then you would go to select report template. Here, there's a lot of different templates that you can choose from, so definitely check them out and explore. For this training, I'm going to go into one of the more popular ones. So in residential, we have this residential by room traditional template. I'm going to add that one. So I'm highlighting it and I click open template, and you'll notice along the left-hand side, we have some more sections. So general info is our next section that we need to fill out. And then below that, you've got the components and the different systems. And then as we scroll down further, you have optional. You'll notice that optional has checks next to all the different items there. Optional is excluded. It's kind of grayed out. So by default, it's excluded, and all the check marks just tells the software that it's completed, and the software doesn't need to alert you to fill out anything in optional. And then there's at the bottom, there's summary. Once we start adding some defects and things like that, we'll be able to go to the summary and just see all the different summary items. So in general info, the first thing we're going to do is bring in a cover photo. So going over to the right-hand side here, I'll click on pictures. And again, I've got my photos loaded up, and you can actually just click and drag and drop your photo. This popped over on my other screen, but here we are. It opens up in the photo editor. For a cover photo, you're not really going to do much editing. You might change the size, and there's some icons here where you can kind of adjust the size, but I have mine brought it into a good size, so I'm just going to select OK. I can add another photo simply by clicking and dropping again. So now I have two cover photos. You'll notice up here I can toggle between the two. But I don't really actually want this one here. It was just an example. So if I left click, I get some options to edit the photo or delete it. I'm going to choose delete. Another thing too, you can actually pull in, that's my alarm letting me know that we're running low on time. It's surprising how much time, how it goes so quickly. So under general info, basically you just highlight, there's some general items down here that you can just highlight, like in attendance, and you can click on the different things on the right-hand side that apply to that inspection. You can do multiple, so you can do customer and their representative. I can erase it. I can also hand type something in if I want as well. So I can do customer and friend. And then you just go down the list like that. So type of building. This right here where it says style of home, that's excluded. So you'll notice it's grayed out. This right here is the exclude column. So that includes it, that excludes it. When it's excluded, it won't show up on the report at all. So just keep that in mind. Some things you just don't want to show up. And then you'll just go down this list. It's pretty easy and self-explanatory to fill out. All that is customizable, and we'll go over that in template editing on the next session. This comment key and definitions up at the top as well, that is customizable too, and we'll go into that in the template editing session as well. But this basically just kind of says the different definitions for what you're calling out, whether it's inspected, non-inspected, not present, or if it's a repair replace item. And you can change those up to your liking. So next we're going to go into components. Here is where you can set up the structure of the report. You can do things like, let's say there's not a garage, you can exclude the garage. And now you'll notice that everything is renumbered. So it goes from 1, 2, and kitchen is number 3. You can also duplicate sections here. So for example, maybe you want to break out rooms into bedrooms, dining rooms, things like that. You can click on rooms under duplicate sections. If you click this ++, you can add different duplicate sections. So it's going to bring over, it's just going to repeat the different inspection items for each duplicate. You can also modify the name rooms and change it or remove it or move it up and down in the list. So this is how you duplicate. So I've got rooms. I already have a component called kitchens right there. So I'll do living room, use this drop down, and I'll do bedrooms. I want to add another, and it's really easy. I just click add. I can always choose the drop down if I want, dining room, but I can also type in here as well. So maybe I'll do laundry. And then I'll hit OK. And they all populate down the side there. So now that we have the structure, we're going to go in and check out an inspection item, and we'll just complete one, and it's just repeated steps after that, and then I'll show you how to upload. So here we are. I've clicked on roof systems on the left-hand side to navigate, and I'm basically looking at inspection items right here. But there's some more tabs, and I kind of like to explain them starting from overview and then working my way to inspection items. So I'll click on the tab for overview. There's a section introduction and a section footer here. Basically some boilerplate text that's going to say what the home inspector does and what they don't do. All this can be modified as well on your template, or you can just, click in here and start typing if you wish. There's an overview photo that can go here. So let's say, we have an overview photo of the roof. This is not the roof, but just for an example, I can add that there. I can add a label here too. A lot of people will pull in photos of each bedroom and call it bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bedroom 3, just so buyers have a visual of what they're talking about if they need to specifically call out a room. So that's the overview. Styles and materials, that's going to be like your facts about that system. And it works the same as general items. So you'll just click on roof covering, and you can multi-select different things here that you want to add. Roof covering from the ground and ladder. And then you just go down the list here and be sure to exclude stuff that you don't need to inspect on. And then the inspection item, that will be like the meat and potatoes of the report, where you're going to add your comments and your photos. So I know I only have 1 minute left. You're welcome to stay a little bit longer as I kind of polish this up here. But under roof coverings, I'm going to say, all right, roof coverings was fine, inspected. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is flashings. You'll notice there's a check mark there. So HomeGauge says, oh, you've completed that. Later on, when we upload, HomeGauge will double check that you've completed everything, and it will point out things that you might have missed. Flashings will say, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Maybe actually, I've got an example here for roof drainage systems, gutters and downspouts. So I'm here, and that's a repair replace item. So I'll just click RR. As soon as I clicked RR, you'll notice down here at the bottom, this is where we're going to add our comment, and there's a box here for a summary. So I uncheck that, the check for summary goes away. I check it, the summary box gets selected. This template is set up to do that. Every time you click RR, it's going to check off the summary and send whatever comment and photos, that we add right there. It will go to the summary as well. Not all templates do it. You can turn it off, but most of them, out of the box of HomeGauge, all our default ones are pretty much set up to do that. So we're going to add a comment for roof drainage systems. And I can add an auto comment just by clicking this magic wand here, or double clicking on roof drainage systems. That's going to open up my local list of comments for roof drainage systems. And I'm going to find my comment. We're going to say something. I'm just going to pick any one of them. I'm going to say downspouts are not. I'm going to say So I just put an X next to that. I kind of did that quickly, but I put an X next to it and then I clicked insert as one comment. So that's how you'll add that one comment. And then to add my photos to it, going over to my photo panel here and scrolling down. And I've got my photo, one photo. I can multi-select as well. So I've got this one selected and I know I have a couple more of these downspouts. So I'm just scrolling through my photos and oh, here we go. So I'm holding down Control on my keyboard and I'll click again, kind of like you do if you're selecting multiple files on your computer. And I've got 3 of them selected. I'll go up here and to add that, I can either click the plus sign here with the circle. That will pull in each picture back to back, but it will pull up the editor for every one. I don't really need to edit these photos because it's pretty obvious what they are. So I'm going to choose the double plus sign. This one, if I hover over it, it says insert selected without editing. So I'm going to do that. And you'll kind of see a flash, and magically all those photos have been added here at the bottom in this box here. So I've got all 3 photos. Below each photo, I can put a label if I wanted to put a descriptor of the location of those. I can also edit the photos as well. I don't need to for this purpose, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But let's say that we have something else going on with the drainage system. So maybe we saw a broken one. So right here, we're talking about, the gutters are intact, but our comment is basically just talking about they're not able to determine if there's leaks, but maybe there is some area where there's something else going on, like a crack or something like that. We can pull in another comment and photo and have it be itemized. So to do that, I'm going to click the plus sign here. That opens up a second tab. So I'm still talking about roof drainage systems. I've got my tab 1 here that has a comment and the pictures that go with that comment. Tab 2 is empty and I can add a comment. I can just click there and start typing a new comment, or I can click the magic wand and I can add, one of the different comments from my list. So let's see here. And again, this is just an example. So it might not make 100% sense, but so right here, we've got a gutter is rusted and deteriorated. So I'm going to we'll pretend this is the gutter and I'll add that to the comment. In the editor, I can do several things. It's pretty self-explanatory. Definitely explore this. But the one thing to point out here is that as soon as you add something, you still have that little cross showing. So anywhere you click, it's going to add another arrow. To remove something that you don't want, you'll use the select tool and then highlight it and then click remove. And then, and then click OK and it gets added. So that's how you add comments and photos, and just a quick rundown of itemization. And the rest of the steps are just going to be repeating those over and over. Because we're running out of time and everything's somewhat short, I'm going to upload a report, actually a completed one that I've already finished. So just for this example, I'm going to open up same report, but it's actually the fully completed report. I do have a pop-up that says, do I want to save changes? I'll say yes. Hold on a second here. Oh, there's my HomeGauge icon. All right, so I'm going to open up that report. And when you're done with the report, it's going to look like this, and you're going to have, everything's going to have a check next to it. And you'll go up here either to HG services and do upload to report to website, or you'll click upload here. Either or will take you to a screen that looks like this. And when you're brand new, don't get bogged down in too many details. You can just go with the default full report for upload. You'll want to make sure that you have a style and format selected. So here there's some options for you, and there's a bunch of them. I'm going to choose the newest, which is clean narrative. It has a nice look and some nice colors. I really like the sea green one here. So you basically can choose your format and then try to customize to match your logo or whatever you feel like doing with the colors down here. And this is just like a preview of what it looks like. So you can kind of check it out and see what it might look like in different styles and formats. But the one I'm going to do is going to be this one here, clean narrative, sea green. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm adding my logo here. This will remain once you add it one time, but I'll click this wrench right here and just navigate to where I have my logo saved on my computer. And I just highlight the file and I'll click OK, and it automatically goes on my cover page. So once you've done that, you've chosen your style and format, just check that one box. You'll hit OK. You'll get a preview that you can scroll through and make sure it all looks good. And if it does, you'll go down to the bottom and click upload. You get a status there, sending the data. And you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, it's been uploaded. Do you want to go send out emails? We'll say yes. And okay. All right. So just refreshing my browser here. When you go to your dashboard, your report is going to be uploaded, and it's going to be uploaded with your agreement that you generated from your appointment. If you're starting this from scratch and you haven't done the appointment manager, it will just go up in its own spot. But I did start an appointment ahead of time. So you'll see here, I've got my property address and the picture. It does say that the agreement's not signed and it's got an amount due. So, nobody's seen it or paid for it yet. And that's okay. You'll see my agreement here and then my report here. All I need to do to send out the emails letting the client and the agent know that it's ready to be viewed is right under the property address. You'll see where it says send emails, and it gives you two choices. I'm going to be sending the inspection report or an email that says your inspection report is ready. So I'll click on that. I'll get some options here. So there's a column that says send email. This indicates who is going to be getting the email. I want my customer to get it, so I'm going to leave that checked. And I want the agent to get it, so I'm going to leave that checked. Over here, it says view and forward. That is going to designate what documents will I allow them to view once they log in. So the client, yes, I would like them to view the report and the agreement. I'm fine with them forwarding it. So we have a forwarding system. So if I check that, they can forward it to somebody and it's trackable. I also want the agent to view it and be able to forward it, but the agent still doesn't need to see the agreement. So I'll just kind of leave that blank. And HomeGauge populates an email and makes it customized for you. So you don't have to fill out, complete anything, which is really nice. You just click send emails and it goes out. This is a pop-up that allows you to send out time release messages. And I'll be going over that in the third session today, which is dashboard kind of advanced functions. So my email for this purpose of this class has been sent out. My customers have received the report. They log in, and as soon as they log in, they're greeted with the pre-inspection agreement, which they're required to sign before viewing. And also they're required to pay. You don't have to have everybody be required to pay, but this day and age, it's just a nice thing to do. And I use HomeGauge payments, so they can pay, with a credit card online super quickly. And as soon as they make a payment, that report is released and I don't need to do anything. I can be sleeping, fishing, at an inspection, And as soon as they pay, they get their report. They don't need to call me, or I don't need to do any extra action. I'm going to go back here to reports, and just to show you, we've sent the report, and it just kind of has some stats here saying that yes, it's been sent, and they do have viewing permission. Later on, when the agent or the customer views the document, there'll be a little check right here indicating that. So that is the nitty-gritty quick rundown of creating a report. And now I got to hop off because I've got a 5-minute break before the template editing session. So hopefully I will see you in just a few minutes, and you can learn a little bit more about the software and how to customize your template. But if not, maybe I'll see you later on today. And thank you for joining me.